So yesterday we played Slivers and Devoted Druid, and today we'll be playing whatever decks come up on the wheel. So without further ado, let us see what we're playing today. Esper Goryos. All right, Esper Goryo. So this is an Esper Reanimator-ish deck that's using primarily Goryo's Vengeance to reanimate Atraxa, but also has Grief and Solitude as like other interactive pieces, plus Ephemerate to blink them around. And Ephemerate also works really well with Atraxa. We've got Tainted Indulgence and Faithful Mending to loot cards, primarily do put Atraxa in the graveyard, but it also just digs us for whatever we need. And then also Fable the Mirror Breaker also discards or just gets us more mana, Leyline Binding to interact, and then a mostly Esperish mana base with a little bit of red for Fable the Mirror Breaker. And then the sideboard, just more interactive pieces for the most part. Wear Tear, Teferi Time Raveler, Through the Breach as another put stuff into play card, Orcish Bowmaster's Leyline of the Void, Force of Negation, one Prismatic Ending, and Elishnorn Mother of Machines for the matchups where that's useful. Oh, and we have Gristlebrand as well to reanimate, but primarily we're interested in hitting Atraxa. Once again, this stream is sponsored by Collector Legion. You can find singles, sealed up product, accessories, and even other card games besides Magic on collectorlegion.com. All right, we have Swamp Flooded Strand, double looting effects, double Atraxa, Leyline Binding. Is this good? We have a turn 2 loot that will put Atraxa into the graveyard, so maybe. Oh no, but we have a basic swamp, so we can't even cast Faithful Mending. Yeah, so we have to ship it. Mulligan. We're on the play or draw, by the way. We're on the draw. One land. It is a turn 1 triple grief. Turn 1 triple grief. So we can triple grief them, and then we just have to draw a second land to find the looting. So we need to fetch for white and blue first. I think we can keep this. Keep it and put Atraxa on the bottom. All right, well, there's our second land. So let's go Godless Shrine, pay the 2. Then we're going to cast Grief, exiling Tainted Indulgence. So I want this to go on the... I want Evoke to go on the stack last, right? So it's this one first. Darn, they have double Lightning Bolt. I guess we force them to use one of the bolts then. Okay, so they're probably Scapeshift is what I'm seeing here. So if we take... So we can't get both of the bolts out of their hand. So if we take, let's say, Explore, and then we Ephemerate, they'll be forced to use a bolt. That just seems bad, though. Maybe we just don't even Ephemerate this. Maybe we just take Explore or Dryad. Explore or Dryad. I'm going to take Dryad, and then I'll just let this die. So now the plan is to just Faithful Mending, putting Atraxa in the bin. I guess that would have been a reason to play Flooded Strand first, because then we could have... I just didn't expect them to have double removal spell, I suppose. But it would have been correct to just play the fetch land first. Now our opponent is just going to explore and see what they get. They did not hit another land. All right. Watery Grave untapped. Pass the turn. We'll just Faithful Mending on their turn. I assume we're playing against Scapeshift, considering they have land-related spells and Dryad. Faithful Mending. Bin, I guess both Atraxas. Well, would you look at that? So I guess we're going to Goryo's Atraxa, kill Renin 6, and then Ephemerate our Atraxa. All right, resolve the ability. Okay, Walker, enchantment. For the instant, I guess we'll take Ephemerate. Creature will be Grief or Solitude? Grief, and then Hallowed Fountain for the land. Or no, Polluted Delta for the land. Is that everything? We've chosen a creature already. All right, and then move to the attack step, attack Renin 6, and then let us fetch to Ephemerate our Atraxa. All right, opponent's had enough. Better lucky and good, right? Okay, so our opponent's on Scapeshift, so we want Elishnorn. We probably want Force of Negation. I assume they're on Scapeshift at least. No, Wear and Tear can kill Dryad, so if they try to Scapeshift with Dryad in play, as they're only out, we can just kill Dryad in response. So that might be good. I don't think we need Breach, Leyline, Orcish Bowmasters, Prismatic, or Teferi. In fact, Teferi looks like it's pretty freaking bad in this matchup. They don't have much for us to even bounce. I guess it also depends on what hate cards they have post-board, but I guess, like, what can they have? They're playing red and green, so their graveyard hate is probably Endurance. Let's see, what other 2 cards go? Solitude's not great in this matchup either. They don't have that many creatures. Well, maybe they have Primeval Titan, though. They probably have Primeval Titan. but we don't need this many Solitudes. So we can cut that and then one more card. Probably Fable. This seems all right. All right, submit deck. All right, well, we've got to turn 2 Goryos, or turn 3 Goryos, rather. So we'll keep. So we're going to go Polluted Delta, fetch, Indotha Triome, and then play Steam Vents. So we've got Domain, and then we can use Faithful Mending. All right. So yeah, Sheltered Thicket. They're 100% Titan Shift. Explore. Sure. Let's go fetch Indotha. All right. Steam Vent. Pay the 2. Go. And so now we'll just Faithful Mending. Is there any reason to play Faithful over Tainted Indulgence or vice versa? I guess I would rather only discard 1 card than discarding 2 cards, so we should play Tainted. Sure. Black and blue. Discarding Atraxa. Proceed. All right, so I want to play Watery Grave first so I can Ephemerate. Pay the life, and then Goryos, the Atraxa back into play. That resolved, okay. Oh, we're definitely taking Elesh Norn. Goryos, or we have 2 Ephemerates already, so let's take Goryos, and let's take Grief, because I need to potentially take something out of their hand this turn. And then let's take Marsh Flats as the land. Goryos is an instant, right? Yeah, okay. So that is all. Oh, I can't choose 2 creatures. It's probably better to Grief this turn than it is to have Elesh Norn, because they can potentially kill me next turn. Even though I'm gaining a bunch of life, they can still potentially kill me, so I do think I need to take Grief. Does Goryos exile? It does exile. Okay. All right, let's attack. All right, now I'm going to Grief them first so that if they have 2 different answers, like if they have 2 things I have to take, then I can just Ephemerate the Grief. But if they don't, I'll just Ephemerate Atraxa. So exile a black card. We'll exile Tainted Indulgence. Resolve this. All right, so they only have 1 card to take, so we'll just take that. We'll let Grief die, and then we will Ephemerate our Atraxa. Enchantment, instant, Force of Negation if we need it, Solitude, land. And then we're going to have to discard the hand size. So... yeah, sack Tribe Elder. Yeah, it does nothing. Then we'll discard Fable. How many cards do we have in hand? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, we can discard a land. The other Fable I don't really need. Fable's kind of irrelevant at this point, so let's just discard all of that. Wish. Am I supposed to counter this? What creature, what non-creature, or what creature rather, can they wish for? I assume they're going to wish for Scapeshift, so yeah, that resolves. Do they have to show us? You may play a card you own from outside the... No, they don't, until they actually cast it. You are correct. Yes, I did know... Well, I did know their hand, which means the only card they drew was Wish, so I should have countered that. You're right. Are they on Creativity? Like, what is happening? Or they just are getting Dwarven Minds cuz. Yeah, all right. Force. All right. That was pretty fast. That was the fastest game we played so far. On to game 2. You know, it's funny. I bought all of the cards I needed to build Esper Goryos in paper, and then I never played the deck. So this is a nice little treat. Won the die roll. I would like to play first. We have perfectly serviceable hand. We don't have anything to discard for Goryos yet, but we do have a looter, so let's keep. So if I fetch, I don't have exactly Domain, but that's probably fine. So I need to fetch Rogran Triome and then play one of the other lands. All right, let's play this and then pass. So we'll fetch Rogran Triome, play one of these other 2 lands, Tainted Indulgence to hopefully draw into our bomb. All right, Rogran. All right, yeah, Swamp, pass turn. Also Rogran. So many decks this could be. Dwarven Mine, all right, Creativity. Tainted Indulgence. What am I pitching? Honestly, probably a land, or maybe Leyline Binding. So their Creativity, okay, I want to keep Grief. Maybe it's actually Solitude. It's the most expensive card in my hand, essentially, in terms of actually being able to do anything with it. Yeah, let's pitch Solitude. Whoa, Grief double Ephemerate. Okay, well, I know what we're doing. So, okay, if I play Polluted Delta, I can fetch... What do I need to fetch? I want to be able to fetch Domain. So let's go Godless Shrine untapped. And then, yeah, we're getting rid of Goryos, but that's fine. Evoke Grief. Resolve Grief. They have double Lightning Bolt. They only have 1 open mana. We do need to take them both, I suppose. Prismari Command can also kill Grief next turn. That's an issue. All right, so we're going to take... So we go take the Bolt. They will bolt it in response to our Ephemerate. We Ephemerate again. Take Prismari Command. And then, yeah, all right, so let's take that. And then let's Ephemerate. They'll respond. Then we Ephemerate again. Whoop. Then we'll take Prismari Command so they can't kill the Grief on their turn. And Bolt resolves. Then this gets countered because it's not a legal target anymore. Evoke resolves, doing nothing. Pass. Yeah. Take Creativity. All right, now we have a Atraxa. We can't do anything with it. We can't attack. We have a Binding up, and that's it. So we just pass the turn. And then we'll go fetch our other Triome to get Domain online. So their hand is ending, Archon. All right, I guess we start attacking. How do I pop their hand open? All right, so they probably have nothing. They don't have 4 mana to even cast Ending on Grief, or 4 different colors rather, to cast Ending on Grief. Teferi. All right, let's attack them first. All right, Teferi, blue, black, white. We get to hold up Binding. They're flashing in Leyline Binding to hit Grief. Okay. That seems like a really bad trade on their part, because now you just get to bounce Binding back to their hand and then Grief them again. Yeah, we'll take that. Play that tapped. Go. See, if they hadn't have flashed that in, I wouldn't have bounced my Grief. So basically by doing that, they just lost their Binding for no reason. They're going to Ending Teferi, right? Yeah. Should I Binding this Dwarf token now? I don't think so. Let's say they draw... I don't think there's any way that they can draw anything to where I need to bind it now. All right, and I'm not going to cast Grief because I don't care about taking the Ending or the Archon that's in their hand, whereas I do want to flash Solitude in and kill this. All right, so they got 4 mana for the Ending to finally Ending the Grief. Cast Solitude, then Grief dies, but then we have a Solitude in play. I actually don't want to Grief the Archon in their hand just in case they have... Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're 1 mana off of casting Archon, but they might be playing the Persist version, so I don't see a reason to do that right now. If they play another land, then I'll Grief them. Or I guess I'll just Grief whatever the other card is in their hand. All right, swing, black, black. Spell Pierce, sure. And now I don't see anything they could draw to get out of this. At least that creativity plays normally. All right, begin sideboarding. So I want to put Force in to counter creativity. I want to put Elishnorn in to stop the Archon triggers. Bowmasters doesn't matter. Fairy is pretty bad in this matchup, I think. Let's see. They have Leyline Binding. So the problem is that they can fetch Dwarven Mind to make a token and then just creativity on their turn, which makes Teferi's bounce not that great. It's like fine against the Fable, the Mirror Breaker token, but that's it. Wear Tear is also, it blows up Fable, but that's not great. We definitely want EE to kill their tokens. So let's see. Some amount of Teferi's is probably all right to counter Leyline Binding. Prismatic seems kind of bad. I guess they probably play Renin 6, right? So it's all right just to answer Renin 6. I guess Orcish Bowmasters is okay too to kill the dwarves at instant speed. What's not good? I need to cut a whole bunch of cards. Okay, let's cut to Fairy. Let's probably cut all the Fables. They're just really slow. You never want to tap out for it. And then we can cut... I'm thinking one of the Solitudes. That seems fine. I guess technically Elishnorn doesn't completely counter the Archons because even though it stops their ETB trigger, it doesn't stop their attack trigger. But it does shut off Dwarven Mind making dwarves and Leyline Binding. It probably hits enough things in their deck that it matters. All right, we have turn 1 Grief, but we don't, because we don't have turn 1 white mana. So we have turn 2 Grief with Ephemerate. We also have Goryos plus Atraxa, so if we draw any looting effect, we can do that. This hand's a bit awkward, but I think it's keepable. Our opponent's also on creativity, so they're not interacting with us in the first 2 turns, or even 3 turns, really. All right, so let's just play that and then pass. So the plan is try to Grief them next turn. In all likelihood, they'll play Renin 6. No, they won't. All right. Well, that being the case, I guess let's just try to Grief them. Teferi, Spell Pierce, Hallowed Moonlight. So we need to take Spell Pierce first. They're going to have Teferi mana next turn. So, okay, 100% we need to take Spell Pierce first. And then we go Ephemerate. So if we don't take Hallowed Moonlight, they can just Hallowed in response to our Ephemerate. So we probably take that. If they play Fable, that's fine. If they play Teferi and bounce Grief back to our hand, that's also probably okay. I guess either... No, it's not, because either one of these cards is a problem for Ephemerating Grief. But Teferi gets a Teferi into play, so yeah, I think we take Tef. And then let's play Island, because we don't have an Island. And then pass the turn. Oh, are they just going to run out Fable? I'm surprised they wouldn't hold up Hallowed Moonlight to stop the rebound. All right, so I can take Hallowed, or I can take the other Fable. So another Fable isn't too bad. Hallowed stopping our reanimation plan, though. So we probably need to just take Hallowed. I think we just need to take Hallowed because we're not doing... Like, we don't really have any action right now. So our best bet is to try to reanimate Atraxa. So I think we just take Hallowed. All right, land. And then we can't attack with this. We can't actually do anything. I guess we can Solitude the Shaman, but I'm not going to. So let's just pass. So I have another Fable and a mystery card. How are they using it? They did 1 Rummage. So if they attack with this, I'm blocking, I think. I don't want them to keep getting treasure tokens. Actually, so let's say they have creativity. I have no way of stopping them from... Yeah, I think I need to kill this now. I don't know. I just don't have a good way of stopping creativity regardless, so I think I just let them attack and then block this. Because if I have to pitch Solitude, then that's 2 different cards going just to stop the 1 token. I understand that I probably have to stop this token as well, but I can always do that later. All right, a land. So at this point, I will probably wind up solituding this shaman. So like if I think about this, they have 4 mana with creativity. They're almost certainly going to hit another land as well. I guess actually, no, let me think about this. If they resolve Archon, I need cards in my hand to discard, and I can discard Atraxa and then reanimate it. So I probably actually just need to hold on to my cards. Yeah, so even if they Archon, even if they like double Archon, then I just discard Elishnorn Solitude, or no, I discard Atraxa and something else, and then Goryo's it back. Ren and 6, okay. Although if they're smart, they'll play around that. So we are under pressure here. All right, let's fetch the other Triome. Ephemerate. So let's see. This is going to flip so that I can go Solitude, pitching Elishnorn, Ephemerate, kill both the Fables. I probably just need to do that on the end step, I think. All right, let's just pass. So I essentially at this point have infinite tokens because they're just going to keep Ren and 6ing back fetch lands. I'm just going to let them hit me and then Solitude on the end step to Fairy. Well, that's an issue. That leaves them with 4 mana, so they can do 1 creativity. But I imagine if they had creativity, they would just cast it and like target multiple things, so they probably don't. So that being the case, let us go Solitude, cast, exiling Norn. So exile this one. All right, Ephemerate. Then Teferi resolves. I assume they'll just bounce Solitude back to my hand. No, they're not. They're going to plus. All right. Well, I can't rebound Ephemerate now. Double Goryos. All right, I guess let's attack Teferi then. And they can just fetch a dwarf to block if they really care. Yeah. So they strangely enough, so they haven't cast creativity yet. I really want, so they might just not have it, I suppose. And then 6, pick up another land. They've been through 2 mines. I'm really surprised they didn't just bounce Solitude. Like if they bounce Solitude, 1, I don't have the mana to cast it. 2, even if I do, I can't respond to anything that they're doing. Plussing again. Fable, all right. Well, our draws continue to be real bad. So they don't have any more, they cannot fetch a mine. So if we attack Teferi, if they block, they have to block with the Shaman token. So yeah, let's just attack. We unfortunately cannot do anything. It's actually our best case scenario is actually for them to cast creativity. Like that's crazy. But they don't even need to. They can just win with what they have on the board. So Ren and 6 goes up to 7, which means next turn they will get to ult it, and then they just have infinite Hallowed Moonlights to stop us from doing our Reanimator plan. So we need to draw a 2 mana loot spell right now. Leyline of the Void. Well, we dead, boys. Okay, maybe we're not dead. So, okay, Leyline. If we don't kill Ren and 6, then they just have Hallowed Moonlight. If we hit, regardless of which one we hit, even if we hit Leyline, they can just bounce our binding back to our hand, and then Leyline is out again. I suppose we always have the ability to do it on the main phase, whenever. So what if we bind Ren and 6? Then it keeps it from ulting for a turn. They might bounce Leyline to our hand anyway. If they don't, though, and they just don't have Ren and 6 anymore, all right, let's bind Ren and 6. Binding our binding. All right, yeah, I'm good with conceding at this point. Like, technically we're not dead yet, but it's going to be such a slog to get through the rest of the match. All right, so the fact that they put Leyline of the Void in the deck means I want Teferi, and probably Wear Tear as well. That puts their enchantment count at Fable, Leyline Binding, and yeah, Fable, Leyline Binding, and Leyline of the Void. So we probably want all the enchantment removal we can get. That means we need to take stuff out though. Bowmaster is probably not as effective. It looks like we're more in like a slug match than we are in anything else. Solitude's not that great in this matchup either. We still need our core reanimation package. We need answers. How good is Elishnorn? It has to be good, right? Stops mine, stops Leyline Binding, stops Archon's ETB trigger, does not stop Teferi, does not stop Fable. This is probably good. All right, I would like to play. We have 2 mana, multiple pieces of interaction, Goryo's, and a loot spell. I think this is fine. Keep. Let's play this and fetch Rogran Triome. Casting Steam Vents untapped. I assume that means they have Spell Pierce, probably. All right, Rogran. Let's just play this untapped, then pass. Still doing nothing. Well, I'm going to cast this, and if they counter it, they counter it. Yep. All right, I can play Teferi now, and unless they have another Spell Pierce, this is good. Yeah, that seems good. Let's go fetch Godless Shrine. So if we plus, the problem is if they have Prismatic Ending, they can just ending it, or Leyline Binding or whatever. So let's just minus, and then yeah, Ren and 6 can ping it, but that's fine. Grief. We're not going to pitch cast that, so let's just pass. So we unfortunately do not have another blue card to use Force and Negation on, but we do have a fair amount of good plays next turn. And if they spend their whole turn, yeah, all right. At least we got a card out of it. All right. High rolling is cast Tainted Indulgence and find land reanimation spell and then pitch the reanimation target and then pitch the reanimator target. And we need to hit another land anyway, because otherwise we're just doing nothing this turn. So let's cast this. I'm going to want to keep up Godless Shrine, I think. Oh, auto tapper. Black, blue. Wow. Better lucky than good, right? Planes. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Resolve Atraxa. All right. We don't have another blue card for Force unless we take this Force. So let's take Norn, Binding, Delta. No, not Delta. Flooded Strand. So we can fetch the basic planes if we need to. Let's just take Force as backup. And then I think that's everything, right? We already have an instant, so we can't take Ephemerate. We can't take the other creatures. We have lands checked. All right, done. And then let's kill Renin 6. And let's cast this for 0. And then we're good. So now we got Force to protect from creativity if they do that. We also have pretty good follow-ups next turn. Probably just casting Norn. Well, I guess I'm countering that. All right. Yeah, let's just put Norn into play. And then even if they creativity, they don't get the Archon trigger, and then we can just get rid of it with Leyline Binding. We also have double Grief. Thoughts on taking GB there, knowing you can discard the hand size in case of another Goryo's? Thoughts on taking GB there? GB there? I'm not following. Oh, right. They can hit our creativity as well. Or our creature as well. Huh. That is kind of risky for them, though, isn't it? Well, I guess that resolves. All right. Well, that worked out all right, I guess. What am I pitching? I guess just this land. If I play Grief, I don't have the mana for Binding, but I do have the mana for Terror. I don't have the mana for EE either if I do that. It's probably better to just cast Faithful Mending and see what we hit. Although we don't have... I guess we have Norn in the graveyard, but that's not a Goryo's hit. Maybe just pass and then Faithful Mending on their turn. Now, let's do it now. White. All right. I don't want to lose my interactive pieces, so let's just get rid of this and this, and then pass the turn. Then we can hold up EE and Binding and Wear Tear, and then just... And if they don't do anything that we want to interact with, we can just flashback Mending. We're also dangerously low on clock, but I think we can win in 6.5 minutes. Fable the Mirror Breaker, sure. All right, well, let's just... All right, I guess we're going to Grief them and see what's in their hand. So, all right, black, black, Grief. How far away from they casting Archon? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plus maybe Treasures. At this point, Spell Pierce is not that relevant, I suppose. I haven't seen Persist out of their deck yet, so let's just take that, I guess. I'd like to pay 2. Yeah. And pass. Having to draw on paper because your opponent is slow is the other side of frustrating. So the thing is, if you're in paper and your opponent's taking a really long time, you can always call the judge and say like, hey, my opponent really needs to speed up. So there's only so long they can take before tournament officials will force them to continue. Versus online, I mean, you do have the clock, which is the equivalent, but you have a lot more time to just run the clock out. Cycling a land, all right. So they still have Spell Pierce, so I'm not going to do anything right now. Oh, there's Atraxa. How far away from that are we? We need to fetch our green source. Well, they're going to keep making treasures with this thing. We can't really race them either. Do we actually have to trade our Grief for this thing? That seems so bad. I guess no, we can just pop EE. I think we just attack and then like, yeah, if we get got by creativity at some point and then we get got. I guess if we attack, they can what? Double fetch to put 2 dwarves into play. They can also just put dwarves into play and then, well, if they put dwarves into play, we can just pop EE anyway, so yeah, that's not a concern. Yeah, let's attack. I'm probably popping EE next turn. I probably just let them hit me down to 11 and then pop at end step. Yeah, alright, let's cast Tear on this. I guess I still actually don't have to pop the EE at this point. They're not putting anything on the board, like, it's fine. I can keep getting hit by this thing. Alright, now I will. Swing. Alright, pop EE at the end of their turn, and then play another EE. Yeah, I mean, there's pros and cons in terms of how much time it takes with digital versus paper. I just mean in terms of the feeling of frustration when your opponent's not doing anything. I think that's cut down in paper more than it is in digital. All right, Poppy. I am actually not going to play this Plains in case I draw another spell. Maybe not. All right, play this for 0. So they still have Spell Pierce. So we're going to discard Atraxa anyway, so that's fine. And then we can hold up mana. Now let's back up. All right, let's just attack them with Grief. I must apologize. I completely forgot that we had Faithful Mending in the graveyard. Besage you on this. Well, that's an issue. Yeah, that resolves. Get in Dotha Triumph. So they're going to get 2 dwarves now and double creativity. Yeah, that sucks. Ugh. So I go binding on one of them to at least make it so there's just 1 Archon. All right, let's flashback Faithful first, and then, yeah. Dun, dun, dun. All right, let's put both of these in the graveyard, I suppose. And then Leyline Binding. And then even if we flashback Faithful Mending again, we don't have the mana to do anything with it, so we'll just let the last one resolve. Emrakul. Okay, wasn't expecting that. They still have Spell Pierce, right? So no reason to flashback the Mending now. Just wait until my turn and see if we can get there. That'll do it. What? And flashback this. Put that and that away. Then Goryo's out. Traxa. Black, blue. Ugh. Hallowed Moonlight. I suppose I should binding this now before it's an issue. Before they draw, in case they draw something that can answer this. Yeah. All right. Hallowed Moonlight resolves. Do I have to do this? I guess I do, right? And then it'll get exiled. That's fine. All right. Attack with Grief. We're out of mendings, right? Yeah. So I can just F6 through the rest of this. So if they have an answer to binding, they'll just use it on my end. They'll kill it on my end step and get Emrakul back and win the game. They did not. All right. Another binding. We might actually make it. We just have to hit them one more time. Leyline Binding. What are they targeting? Get out of here. Holy smokes, are we actually going to make it? Cycle Ketria Triumph. Run in 6. They get back Ketria Triumph. Cycle Ketria Triumph. They're out of mana. Oh my gosh. What a match. That was a nail biter. Once again, sorry for forgetting that 2 Faithful Mendings were in my graveyard and just spending turn after turn not doing anything. But we got there in the end. Hey, if you're going to play Goryo's Vengeance, then, you know, better lucky than good, right? We are on the play. All right, we got looting, we've got reanimation target, and we've got Teferi. Opponent reveals Giganta. So let's play Indatha first, then Shock Steam Vents. Blood Crypt. We're getting Thought Seized or Ragavand. Thought Seized. Opponent will likely take Indulgence, I assume, so that we don't have a looting effect, nor a turn 2 play. All right, at this point, I think I'm going to hold on to this Rogran Triumph, so... Because we have 4 lands besides it already, so we might actually want to cycle it later. By the way, how do you send chat messages? Because, like, I don't have them for some reason over here on the side. I don't seem to have anywhere to actually type them. Is that in, like, a settings somewhere that I have to enable? Blood Crypt and Urza's Saga. So maybe it's Jund Saga? Let's grab a basic plains or island. Fairy. Orcish Bowmasters. All right. So if I bounce the land, then it kills Teferi off. Nice. I'm still going to do it. All right. Well, it's not going well. I think we need to play Fable so we can pitch Gristlebrand. So let's just do that. We're just gonna go fetch Godless Shrine probably. Yeah. Proceed. Oh, this Fable's also gonna trigger the Bowmasters. Well, that sucks. But it must be done. We will block Ragavan if able. I guess we're not able. I'm gonna fetch now so I can F6 through the rest of this turn. Exiled Polluted Delta. All right. We might actually be dead next turn. All right, we're discarding, yeah. Gristlebrand, and then I guess this land, maybe? Yeah. That's fine. Grief. So yeah, it's Jund Saga. And they just have 3 lands? Huh. Well, we're gonna bind something. I guess we're probably binding this army token. Little chats. Show chat. Opponent has Nile Spellbomb. Alright, let's see what they attack with. Alright, I think I have to block... I can block here, and then binding the army. Take 3, go to 4, and then I'm still dead next turn. Versus... Let's say I block here, then I take 6 and go to 1, but then I can't draw anything because of Bowmasters. I'm going to lose to the Construct. I guess the Fable flips over, so I get another blocker. So take 5 to 2. I get to keep Grief. Gets Bowmasters off the field so that I can cast my looting spells and keeps multiple blockers in play for next turn, although I will still... Like, there was no real way that I could have done that to where I wouldn't just lose the game next turn. Oh, they're just going to crack Nile Spellbomb now? All right. Oh, well, okay. Sometimes the bolt is in. Okay, so what do we have? Definitely want Bowmasters because it kills their Bowmasters, it kills their Ragavans. Prismatic Ending seems good. Teferi, if our opponent is playing a bunch of Sagas and whatnot, and tokens, we can just get rid of them. We don't need Breach. Wear Tear. Kills Saga, but I don't think they really have... I kill Saga and it kills Construct tokens, so that's probably good. What else? Fable's probably slow as heck. And what else? Most of their creatures are kind of cheap, and they don't have anything that we really like absolutely need to kill immediately, so we can cut Solitude. Is Norn good? They're somewhat fast. It stops Bowmaster's ETB trigger, but that's kind of it. Also, EE gets rid of the Construct tokens and the Army token, but not necessarily much else. I think this is fine. All right, this hand's acceptable. Like, it doesn't have any sort of crazy value in it, but it's fine. We have all our colors. We have multiple different turn 2 plays that we can use. Ragavan. Excellent. Most excellent. I think we just pass and then go Swamp Bowmasters kill this. Oh, I still have a stop here. Put that off. Beginning of combat. Find my swamp. Cast the Bowmasters. So they're going to flash their own Bowmasters in, presumably. So if they do, what do I want to do? Let's say they flash Bowmasters in. So I go like Teferi, they go in response, flash Bowmasters in, deal 1 damage to my Bowmasters. So I have no way of saving this. I guess I can like Solitude it out of play. I don't have enough to cast Binding for 1. So it's probably better to just Tainted Indulgence. All right, let's just attack them first. Well, if they're not going to do anything, then I'm just going to pass and hold these up. What am I discarding? I guess let's see, I'm going to fetch the other Triome here. So let's discard Watery Grave. Now let's discard Flats. Then yeah, that resolves. And they'll kill my Bowmasters, but that's fine. The plan is to just bind it next turn. Soul Guide Lantern, sure. I'm surprised they exiled Tainted Indulgence over Bowmasters. So this is a Goryo's deck, but like I could be playing regular reanimation spells. Goyf. All right, fetch Endotha. Okay, so let's cast Binding. Let's get Bowmasters off the field. And then I guess let's Teferi bounce the Goyf. So if they have removal for the army token, I mean, yeah, that's fine. And then they kill Teferi. Okay. Oh, they just shot Teferi instead of the token. Wait, no, what did they do? Renin 6. They targeted it itself by accident. Well, all right then. At this point, it's probably best to just do what? Just hold up Solitude, probably. Yeah, let's just hold up Solitude. We'll just Solitude, kill Goyf off. Bolt Teferi, sure. All right, well, Solitude. They had nothing else to do. Huh. All right, well, let's Teferi bounce the token, and then I need blue here. Bounce the token, and then just attack Renin 6. Bowmasters, you say. So they'll kill my token. Resolve Teferi. All right, Binding. Get rid of this one. Then bounce the token. If they have Beseiju, that's bad for us, but okay, they don't. Attack Renin 6. Then we just pass with Tainted Indulgence up. All right, we're doing pretty well here. I am somewhat wary of them having Beseiju to get rid of Binding. Oh, I needed to fetch black mana. My bad. We're still all right. All right, so if we Prismatic this, they just get to draw a card. We probably just have to, though, right? So we'll pop it in response, and then we can Indulgence and see what we draw. Double Goryos, eh? All right, well, attack with Solitude. Okay, we're at 18, opponents at 13. They have more cards than us, but we have a slightly better board position, but it's not, like, incredible or anything. Well, them drawing Springleaf Drum in a land is not great for them either. Put Gigantha in hand, okay. Indulgence again, discarding. At this point, I think we can just win off of Solitude and Ephemerate. So I think we actually get rid of Goryos. Because now basically we have 2 Solitudes and an Ephemerate, so we essentially have 3 removal for whatever they play, plus Leyline Binding, and an active Teferi in play. All right, so they're just thinning their deck. Bolt Teferi, sure. Just play Gigantha, that's fine. All right, holding on to this land in case we draw more looting spells. Opponent still has nothing, or at least seemingly nothing. They might have instant speed interaction, but that's fine. Terminate. Nope. So our opponent basically has to draw back-to-back removal spells right now, or yeah. All right, on to game 3. So let's see here. The only real question is, like, do we want to put Solitude or Norn back into the deck? And if so, cut something. It seems like a very, like, highly interactive matchup. So we probably want more interaction than we want big explosive payoffs. So we can cut, like, a Gristlebrand and put Solitude back into play. They have Terminate, which makes Norn not as appealing. Fable's also decent, but it's not great against Bowmasters. I think this is fine. All right, submit. So unless we get really lucky with, like, an early Ephemerate Grief or an early Reanimation, it's probably pretty much a big back-and-forth matchup. This hand is not great. We do have Grief if they don't Thoughtseize us. We have 2 lands. We can potentially get to Teferi. We also have the mana for Leyline Binding, so I think it's keepable. We Grief, pitch Atraxa, Ephemerate, and then triple Thoughtseize their hand, unless they have Thoughtseize of their own. All right, Ragavan. All right, what am I fetching? Probably Godless Shrine. for a Rogren Triumph to be better next turn. So exile Atraxa, put the Evoke on the stack second. So let's just take Bowmasters in the ring. Or do we take Bowmasters and Inquisition? So they have to exactly draw a removal spell in order to make the rebound not work. Whereas Inquisition lets them take Teferi. Although that's probably fine too. All right, let's high roll it. So they have a random draw and a random Ragavan hit because I'm not going to block. Yep, you hit me. They exiled Grief. All right, okay, rebound this. All right, so we take the ring. We can Ephemerate again. Wow. Okay, I really want to get Run and 6 off the board though. I also want to get Ragavan off the board. I guess they just have a bunch of lands. Am I fine trading with Ragavan? Like, let's bind this and then trade, and then plop Teferi down. I have to fetch Steam Vents in order to do that. There's a lot of decisions to make here. I need to handle both of these cards at some point. So let's just play Flooded Strand, pass. So the plan is block here and then bind this, unless they play something else that's worse, and then bind that instead. Oh, they have Bowmasters? Okay. Oh, they have a second Run in 6. All right, now I'm not going to block because I want to be able to attack this Run in 6 next turn. All right, let's just go get Ndotha Triumph in case they exile that off the Ragavan. They have exiled Polluted Delta. All right, do not rebound that. Kill Run in 6. And now I'm just going to play this Rogren Triumph and then pass and probably just bind the Ragavan. Gigantha in hand, that's fine. So I can Teferi bounce my own Leyline Binding so that I can bind the Gigantha, but if I do that, then they get Urza's Saga going. Alternatively, I bounce Urza's Saga, then they spend their next turn casting Gigantha. That's probably better. We are multiple turns away from Atraxa, and we would have to draw multiple lands in a row in order to cast it even. Right, so now they're going to play Gigantha. I at least assume they would play Gigantha unless they drew something better. Okay, so Gigantha plus Bolt. What am I fetching here? I need another blue source. I have 2 black sources already, so let's grab Hallowed. So we are staring down Gigantha plus the ability for them to make Constructs next turn. So we are on a pretty tight clock here. We basically need to draw, we need to draw an interaction for one of these. I guess the best draw would be looting, pitched Atraxa into Goryo's Vengeance, but not having that, some kind of interaction that can get rid of Gigantha or Saga. Probably Gigantha is the bigger. No, actually, probably Saga's the bigger one, because when they get 3 counters, they can grab Nile Spellbomb, and that shuts off Atraxa. Or we could draw a land. All right. Well, now we really need to draw something next turn. All right, go ahead, opponent. So they might not attack us. They might attack Teferi. It's going at us. Yeah, all right. Because we're dead in 2 turns. We're dead in the next turn when they make their Construct token. I mean, if I don't find an answer to one of these, then I'm just dead on the spot. Whereas if I don't fetch now... I guess I shouldn't fetch now, in case I draw an answer that hits, like, Saga, but doesn't hit Gigantha. Alright, so let's just go. Well, we have the 2 pieces, but we don't have a way to actually put Atraxa in our graveyard, so... And we can't Goryo's back Grief, so that's the game. Yeah, okay, we can just concede here. Unfortunate. So we're at 2-1 at the moment. On to round 4. That is the kind of Magic I like, though. Nice back and forth. We each answer each other's threats, and it's a big slugfest attrition match. All right, round 4. We have 2 looting spells, Ephemerate and Leyline Binding. That's okay. We can keep this. Grazer, so probably Amulet Titan, or, yeah, Colony Garden? It has to be Amulet Titan, right? Let's just play this Triumph. Actually, no, let's play this to go fetch the other Triumph. Let's play this Triumph. I don't think it really matters either way. Grist. Oh, it's Yawgmoth with Colony Garden. Well, all right then. We can't really affect their board. I mean, we can bind Grist, I think. No, we can't even do that. No, we can do that. We can Binding Grist, and then they have this. We should probably just do that. Because the alternative is we just loot, and then we have to find, like, really good payoffs off that one loot, and then just Grist keeps going. Yeah, low chord for Yawgmoth. That's fine. There was no way we were going to stop that from happening. I guess the alternative is we could have like just done nothing and waited to bind Yawgmoth, but then okay, that's interesting. Teferi bounce Yawgmoth back to your hand, and then you'll like sack a bunch of stuff to draw, or just not, and play Yawgmoth again, and then they'll kill Teferi with the insect. But it buys us a turn, which we need. Because we need 4 mana to go loot, bin a Reanimator threat, reanimate it. It also gives us another shot at potentially drawing Solitude. Yeah, okay. So now they will simply replay Yawgmoth, attack Teferi with the insect token to get it off the table. Oh, they played One Ring instead of Yawgmoth. I guess that maybe makes sense. So now I can't like hit them with the Traxa. All right, we really need to draw another land, so let's go with Tainted Indulgence, I guess, and leave up Ephemerate. So blue, black, Tainted Indulgence, discarding a Traxa. So I can grief the Yawgmoth out of their hand, can't do anything. Oh no, I can't because they have pro everything, right? Yeah, I can't grief them. Ooh. Yeah, so I guess it's just pass with Solitude and then Ephemerate all their guys. So I assume they'll replay Yawgmoth here. I am actually going to Solitude to kill that, I think. Cast, exile, mending. This denies them more draws when they eventually do put Yawgmoth into play. Because I can get rid of Yawgmoth here, and then I can Ephemerate this. Let's kill Grazer, and then I can block this. And yes, that does let them go Yawgmoth, sack both the plants to kill Solitude, but then that means their board is just Yawgmoth. Or I guess they just sack one of the plants. Yeah, that's fine. Let's get Yawgmoth off the table. It's fine. All right, get rid of that, and we're good. Except our opponent has 5 cards in their hand, but, you know, did the best we could getting all that stuff out of the way. Another ring? Yep, another ring. All right, so we're going to fetch Godless Shrine, I think. We cannot grief them because of the ring, so let's just play Fable and pass the turn. We'll probably lose this match. We're down a lot of cards. Like, we have to draw Goryos pretty soon in order to not lose. And also, I think they main deck Endurance, so they could have that too. Oh, I shouldn't have grabbed Black Sources because they have Urborg in play. Chord for Yawg. Then sack 2 of the tokens to kill my Shaman. Or not. Doesn't even matter. Yeah, we basically have to top deck Goryos like right now to not lose this match. Oh, okay, we're dead. All right, sideboard time. We want Leyline. Is Bowmasters any good? It stops... It's good against the ring. It's not good against the Yawgmoth because they just sack a thing and kill your Bowmasters, and then sure, you get like 1 damage trigger off of it, but who cares? They do have a lot of also like random X1 creatures though, so it's potentially good against that. So this is probably fine. Prismatic's probably fine. Norn does nothing. Force counters the ring and Chord, but that's it. Combo deck. Teferi seems pretty freaking bad in this matchup. All their stuff is cheap except the ring, which you don't want to bounce anyway. So let's cut all that. Fable's super slow. EE is not good either. So do we want Through the Breach over any of this stuff? This does nothing. What would I cut for Through the Breach? It also takes a long time to get here. What does Bowmasters do? It kills like random insect and plant tokens. It kills Ignoble if they're playing that, although I don't know if they are. It kills 1/2 of Yawgmoth. It is relevant to get a lot of their like tokens off the board to prevent them from cording, to prevent them from having Yawgmoth fodder when it eventually does come down, to prevent Grist from having tokens that they can use to sack to kill your creatures. All right, let's go with that. 1 land, must mulligan. 1 land again, even though it has a Leyline of the Void in the hand, have to mulligan. All right, keepable. We're pitching 2 different cards. Oh boy. Okay, we can grief them on turn 1. So let's put back Rogrin. And let's see, we're going Grief, Goryo's Vengeance, Ephemerate. We really need a 2nd land drop. I guess we're putting Tainted back, or we're pitching one of these to grief is the thing. I guess I would rather, if I'm going to blind draw cards, draw the looting spell than the Goryos. So let's put that back. Okay, pay the 2, evoke grief. Phyrexian, Metamorph, Skoos, Bowmasters, Grist. Okay. What am I taking from all of this? Well, I need to get Skoos so they can't hit my graveyard. Metamorph I don't really care about. Am I hitting like all 3 of these and then trying to like race the Grist or something? That might be the case. Let's take that. Let's take Bowmasters. And then probably just taking the other Bowmasters and then trying to just race Grief. Or Grist rather. Oh, they have the 1 ring as well. They're 2 lands away from the 1 ring, but it's also going to take a long time to kill them. Our hand is terrible as well, though, so I think we just have to bank on they just get mana screwed, because I don't think we're winning this game that well otherwise. We'll pay the 2 and then pass, and then we'll just Tainted Indulgence on their turn and hope to get lucky. Delighted Halfling. All right, things are not going well. Blue, black. Discard Delta. Let's put a stop on their draw step. All right, they didn't draw a land, so we can take Grist now and then take the 1 ring next turn. Take the 1 ring. All right. We drew a Traxa. We can't do anything. Go ahead. I guess they can Metamorph our Grief, which I assume is what they're going to do. and then they'll just take Atraxa. Yep. Thank you, opponent. All right, so we cannot race them because they have more damage on the board, so we may as well just sit back to block Yawgmoth / Delighted Halfling. And they drew Grist anyway. All right. How much is this? 3, 5. So this puts me on... So the clock doesn't matter because they can make an insect with Grief, so I should fetch now. Rogren. It doesn't matter. Rogren. How much black do I have in Dotha? Come on, Goryos. Nope. All right. Well, all right, we got one shot. Let's put Steam Vents into play. Nope. GG. That was quite an interesting game, though. We had 5 Thoughtseizes with Grief, right? Currently 2-2. All right, on the draw. Absolutely unkeepable. We only have 1 land. We have 4 lands and like nothing else going for us. It's just a Grief that we don't even want to pitch cast on turn 1 with a Fable on turn 3, and we're on the draw. This is also terrible. All right, it's at least reanimation payoff plus loot spell, so I guess we'll keep this one. So let's put back Dotha in the plains. Then we can go Rogren, Swamp, Tainted Indulgence. Oh, our opponent also mulled to 5. Might not be out of this. All right, Rogren, go. Oh, Living End. Well, what do we do with this hand? I guess so if they are Living End, we can just go Tainted, put Atraxa in the bin. Seems pretty good. I should do it on their turn so that they can't force a negation me. Solitude was also a great draw. So if they have Violent Outburst and they do it now, then I want to wait on Tainted Indulgence to do it in response to them doing it. So they're going to do it in my upkeep, yeah. That resolves. Cast Tainted Indulgence. Does this resolve? Cycle Street Wraith to try to find Force Negation. All right. Discard Atraxa. Oh, it's always so fun to see Living End backfire on the opponent. What do I want to exile? The Flyer, so that I get to attack unmolested. I guess Street Wraith can attack me without being able to... That's fine, whatever. I'll sell that. Resolve Atraxa's trigger. All right. Enchantment, creature, instant, land. And that's all we can choose. Yep, done. I don't see how they possibly win from here. Like, they have, what, maybe 1 or 2 bounce spells in their deck that they can use to hit Atraxa off the board, and that's it. So they can attack with Street Wraith without me being able to block, which is, I think, perfectly fine, because Atraxa is just going to body them. Or are they going to go again? Okay, no. They're just trying to set up another one. Grief. All right, let's fetch a Plains, and then Ephemerate Atraxa. And this way, next turn we get to Ephemerate Solitude, maybe. It doesn't really matter. All right, another Ephemerate, another Grief. No, I don't want Grief. I want Atraxa. Yeah, all right. Opponent has seen enough. So obviously Leyline of the Void, Teferi to stop Cascade, Force a Negation for Cascade, and then that's probably it. I guess they're probably... So they could have... Their Graveyard Hate will either be Leyline or Endurance. If it's Leyline, I want Artifact or I want Enchantment removal, but I don't want to board this in without knowing that they have that. Fable is incredibly slow and bad, so let's cut that. Leyline Binding is also pretty bad, so that leaves what? Can Orcish Bowmasters shoot itself? Any target. So you can Bowmasters kill itself and in response to Living End. That's not great though, because then you just have a friggin'... You have 2 1/1s, but it's better than Binding, I suppose. Alternatively, Through the Breach, but that also seems incredibly slow. So yeah, I guess just Bowmasters. Let's see how that works out. Any sort of Reanimator deck seems really, really bad for Living End. Ooh, we have a Leyline in hand. I will keep. So we have Leyline and Teferi and looting spells. So they might have brought in Foundation Breaker, who knows. All right, let's just play flats and then fetch Rogren Triumph, I guess. Or let's fetch Endotha, one of the two, doesn't matter. Proceed, opponent. So they do get Foundation Breaker. They might or might not have brought that in. All right, so right now they're just digging for lands, I guess. All right, let's fetch Endotha. So I can Grief them. I don't know how useful that is, though. They don't have anything in their graveyard, so it doesn't even matter if they Cascade this turn anyway. So that being the case, let's just play this and pass. And then just cast Tainted Indulgence on their end step. Is that all the Ents? No, it's 3 of the Ents. Architects of Will cycle, sure. Well, they are cycling a lot. All right, we don't need Domain at this point, so let's just grab an Island and then cast Tainted. I guess I'm going to discard Grief in case they ever do manage to pop off Living End. All right, I suppose I can Grief first and see if they have Force of Negation and then Force Teferi through. That seems all right, but I'd have to bin Tainted Indulgence to do it. Like, even if they have Force of Negation, it doesn't matter. They still have to handle Leyline. All right, well, they didn't. So let's just minus on nothing. Draw a card, pass. So now we have essentially double stacks pieces to shut off their stuff. So I guess they're just going to go with the hard cast their creatures plan. Yeah. Although it's tempting to bin Atraxa and try to find Goryos, I think it's better to just play this other Teferi and bounce this back to their hand. Choose the one to keep, this one. Do I want to grief that? No, not really. Yeah, so just play it again. That's fine. All right. Land. I guess we just go like Indulgence. We have 4 different types right now. So we just go like Faithful Mending, bin Atraxa, see if we can find Goryos. If not, Teferi dies, that's fine. All right. Go ahead, opponent. They will obviously attack Teferi. So now we will cast Faithful Mending. It's been Gristle and Atraxa. We cannot stop Teferi from getting killed, so that is fine. Teferi will die. I guess we could have drawn Solitude, so I probably should have just looted again. All right, I need to find a blue mana, so let's grab Hallowed Fountain, pay it, and then I should not have to discard for this because we have enough types. All right, we can just hard cast Grief now, and then ephemerate it, and yeah, okay. That seems fine. They might have Subtlety, I suppose. They probably have Subtlety and potentially Force. So we still have not drawn a Goryos. Let's just try this again. Another Leyline. Okay, I have no issues pitching the second Leyline. So let's go pitch Leyline, see if they Subtlety this. Cast Petty Theft on Void. Sure. Cycle. Okay. Does this resolve? Cycle again. Cycle again. Our graveyard is just stacked, so I don't even care if they cast Living End. All right, what do you got in your hand? Let's get rid of Architects of Will. It's so strange. I want them to cast Living End. Do I ephemerate this? What else am I doing if I'm not doing that? I probably want to hold up Orcish Bowmasters to kill the Borrower. Yeah, we'll ephemerate it. That's fine. Let's take Outburst. Then we'll play that. Did I already play land? I thought I didn't. All right, well, we'll just hold up Bowmasters now. So they'll flash in Brazen Borrower, and then I'll just kill it. Yeah, I should have flashed this in earlier in response to all of the cycling, potentially, in order to get more pings. All right, take 4. So they just have Shardless and something else. Oh, that's so bad. Yep, their one draw was Endurance. Insane. They did scry like 5 times, yeah. All right, so we'll fetch to undo whatever their Architects does to our library. Pay 1 life. Let's go find, I guess, the other Triome, or Watery Grave. Can't rebound on anything. Oh, I should have just grabbed Steam Vents. Well, I'm going to grab it now. Green, black, white, blue. Oh, I don't need red. All right. Solitude for sure. Leyline Binding's the enchantment. Instant is Ephemerate. Land, Marsh Flats. That's everything. Creature, instant. Yep, done. I can't play a land. I don't have any reason to cast Grief right now or Solitude. I guess I should Solitude in case they draw Subtlety. Although, so I block this. Gain this much back, and then I don't take lethal anyway. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, hard cast Atraxa. So, I mean, even if they draw another, I guess they could draw like another Brazen Borrower or like some bounce effect that would get Atraxa off the table. That would be their one way of winning. They can attack with Street Wraith, and I can't block it. All right, well, let's block this. So I gain 6, or I'm taking 4 here if this goes through. All right. Are they just gonna like Living End again? Endurance me? Sure. All right. I have 1, 2, 3. So I have 8 mana. I can play Solitude and Teferi, but then I can't hold up Ephemerate. Let's just... Oh, let's see. I guess I don't care if they block with Endurance. Now, let's just hard cast this. Let's kill Endurance off. And let's attack with Atraxa. Put them to 5, and us back up to 10. Let's play another land. Do I play Teferi, or do I just hold Ephemerate up? I feel like I just hold up Ephemerate, because a way for them to kill us is to... Well, no, I guess if they draw another Cascade card, they can get rid of both of these, and then their board is better than ours. So yeah, let's just play Teferi. And then let's return Street Wraith to their hand. Sure, they can cycle it, but I don't want Teferi getting killed. So yeah. All right. Okay, let's block this and this. Oh, were they attacking Teferi with one of those? Oh, they were attacking Teferi with all of them. That's obvious. Obviously. More Cascade times. Yep. At least we get Solitude back. And we can hard cast Atraxa again. That's something. All right. I am exiling Street Wraith because I don't want you to have Swamp Walk. All right. We'll hard cast Atraxa again. Blue, black, green, white, and... Oh, all right. Our opponent has seen enough. Whew. What a matchup. We at least broke even again. Okay, so that was Esper Goryos. Holy cow, that was a long league. Or at least it felt like it. Yeah, pretty good. I like this deck. I don't like the Fables in it. I understand why they're here, so that you have another thing that's a looting effect that's also some kind of like value generating card. that can then get rid of the big reanimation bomb payoffs. But I feel like this should be just be a different card. But overall, yeah, I'm happy with it.